for the second season in a row. Bro, I just picked it up. No, I don't want to do it again. I don't want to do it again, bro. I don't want to do it again. I didn't even do anything. I just clicked on the fucking spec, man. Oh my god. I don't want to do it again, bro. Come on, bro. Come on, man. Fuck me. Oh my god. Did say it now? What's up, YouTube? Welcome to update number 3 of our season 2 patch 12.1 Mythic Plus tier list. Once again, there's been a lot of changes this week, and with that, obviously, all of this will be reflecting on the rankings. And as always, Sunday 2 o'clock Central European Summertime, we are here live on stream going to update and seeing exactly how each spec compares to one another. Once again, for the 10th time, as always, nothing we say here is gonna be final. We always going to be measuring the classes on each Sunday because they are gonna be pushing more changes until likely middle of August. So expect at least 3 more weeks of class tuning, if not more, depending whether they will be delaying the patch or not. Thank you for watching, and let's dive in. Subtlety Rogue is taking the crown for the worst DPS for the past 25 calendar days. Not only that, but they haven't seen anything. They've seen a minor update this week, buffing Gorsmaw Bite, which apparently accounted for 2.2% of your, damage increasement. But the fact is, 0 multiplied by 2.2%, it's still 0. Okay? Subtlety Rogue needs some substantial changes, no pun intended here, for them to do better. Whether they want to burst the AoE damage sustained doesn't really matter. They just need something good for them to get the rank higher. Right now, you are definitely the bottom of the bottom. The bottom of the pan. The dirt in the water. Like, you're like, how can I picture it? So there's a famous river in India where people like to take a shit in that river, bat, piss, and throw the rubbish in that river. You're pretty much in that river right now, traveling through all the, feces in it. And you're hoping for somebody to help you to get saved. Other than that's how I can, describe Subtlety Rogue right now. For Devastation Evokers, it is not looking good. It is not looking good. It's getting close to packing you back and rolling back to whatever you want to roll. But so far, their damage output is the biggest, in my opinion, disadvantage for playing Dev Evoker. Now, what they could do to make it better? Simple. Just buff it. That's it. No more, no less. The utility part is fine. As you guys have seen with Augmentation times again, they share similar utility, not entirely the same. But the damage department of Devastation Evoker is just garbage. There is no way to sugarcoat it. There's no way to put it better. It's just garbage. That's all. We're having Brewmaster Monk, in my opinion, currently one of the worst tanks altogether. The reason why I believe you are there is because your current output, in my opinion, is a little bit problematic. Both the durability and output seems like it's falling into an issue. While other specs are getting buffs and buffs left and right, you are right now to be a little bit ignored. The good part about Brewmaster Monk is even if you don't do that well, you are still going to be finding spot into the meta or into the physical comp playing, because you are Brewmaster Monk. You are the staple of Mystic Touch, which can be quite a ludicrous buff for most of the melees. Unless you have Mistweaver Monk. If you have Mistweaver Monk, well, that's even more bad news for you. Okay? Brew needs some love. Hopefully soon. Yeah, that's all. Holy Priest, once again, no changes of Holy Priest. I don't think you're terrible anymore. I think you're gonna be perfectly fine to play keys. Although, keep in mind, if you are trying to push, title keys, whatever, or higher, this is like gonna be a not so great of a pickup. I'm gonna even go to the extent of saying Holy Priest unironically might be better than this Priest. in like casual level keys, unironically. Speaking about Disc Priest, I think Disc Priest has gone down compared to the first couple weeks. I don't think those nerfs or adjustments on Void Shield were as good, because I like the shielding style better, in my opinion. It created more safety net. Right now, I feel like the healing of Disc Priest is the only issue I'm having. Every single high key that I've played so far on PTR, I'm talking about like 90s and higher, Disc Priest has suffered. They cannot heal harder HP as bosses. And I think that is the only reason why I believe Disc Priest needs some adjustments for Mythic Plus. Not so much for raiding, but for Mythic Plus somehow to get better healing profile. Whether you want to buff the Atonement healing only for like 5-man party or whatever you want to do, I don't know. I think Disc Priest needs some help in the HPS department. I don't quite like that. That's why I would say for the average level keys, when utility doesn't matter as much if you are playing in the middle level keys ish. It's probably better to play Holy Priest. The single target damage output from Disc Priest is too insane. I believe they are currently considered one of the highest when it comes down to just purely DPS on single target. They haven't nerfed that yet, which I expect them to get adjusted in the near future, hopefully in that direction. Believe me this, I don't think Windwalker Monks are as bad as you guys people think they are. I swear. I think Windwalker Monks are doing better. They've received a very minor hotfix, or rather stealth buff for them, that increased the AoE output by a little bit. And that's why I believe Monks are now considered better than B tier. So B plus for Windwalker Monks. Better sustain damage, better burst damage. The ST is already fine. I would say the biggest issue of Monks so far, obviously apart from not being able to compete with the S tier specs in terms of output, I think durability is another issue. I am probably gonna say it, but you are the squishiest class so far that I've tested. And again, it could be because I'm a bad Windwalker Monk, or it could be because, you know, Monk is just squishy, you know, that could be it. I really would like to see maybe double charge of your defensive, right? That could help a lot. Maybe bring back Dampen Harm, perhaps. Maybe give them more passive durability, or just pretty much anything to help Monks right now. I don't know what exactly, but that's some of the suggestions that I'm having for Monks so far into the tier. I'd love to see what you guys think about that one. So Fury Warrior so far, apart from mass AoE being a problem for them, I think it's doing quite well. I think in single target they do quite well. I think on lower target mobs doing quite well. You got a battle shot buff. The problem so far has been with them just being not good enough in mass AoE department. That's it. If they were to get buffed there, I think Fury goes easily A tier. Like, if they get to be buffed there, A tier, A plus even. That's one of the biggest issues. And the second biggest issue so far is that Arms Warrior is so good, right? Once again, it comes to a point of comparison. Why would you play Fury if Arms is insane? Think about that. It makes no sense, right? It makes absolutely no sense. Unless Arms get to be nerfed, which I think is very likely to happen in the future. So far, Fury is to be a little bit on the lower side. Fire Mage so far deserves the B plus tier. And I know what you guys are gonna tell me. Fire Mage is insane. I've seen some people do high level keys with it. Like, Fire Mage is a spec that I believe sincerely that if you are playing high level keys, obviously the higher it goes the better. It can be good. Sure, why not? It can definitely be good. The problem is, Fire Mage, for most of you, I'm talking about like 99 percentile of people, are gonna play Fire Mage bad, you know, and are not gonna play the keys that are relevant to play Fire Mage with. Outside of combustion, your damage is really bad. So in like, if your team plays around you in terms of like pulling big during combust, etc., maybe it can be higher. But for most of you playing in a uncoordinated groups, Fire Mage is at most right now average. Right next to Fire Mage. Frost Mage. I think Frost Mage is doing better than Fire Mage. For a better time, it's more consistent. Has better prio damage. Fire damage has 0 prio except for the fire blasts in AoE, or that just flame strikes. Fire damage has frost damage has better prio in my opinion. It has a better consistent / sustained damage, which again is advantageous in uncoordinated groups, which obviously is good. Nothing exceptional though. I would say so far looks to be average / above average DPS spec. If it gets buffed further, then I could say it going higher, but for now I think that's within the scope of possibilities. I've got Guardian Druid that I've placed on the B+ tier. Guardian Druid so far, honestly, the biggest issue I'm having with them is they are decently tanky. The damage of Guardian Druid is pretty bad though. If they do get better damage profile, like more output, then I could rank it higher. I think that's one of the biggest, I guess, con of a Guardian. You already have good utility because, again, Mark Wild is considered insane, but the damage department looks to be a little bit sussy, especially if you compare this to like Warriors or Blood DK right now. Yeah, not looking great for Guardians. And right next to Discipline Priest, I also have Press Evoker. I think Press Evoker is not doing that bad at all. For the most part, you are capable of healing harder HPS encounters, but the design of Press Evoker is quite difficult to make the best out of the spec. You need to be really aware of boss mechanics, movements, routing, etc. to make Press Evoker better. In any sense, not really great per killer. Unless you are super experienced, I'll say for the most part, you are better to sticking up to aura healers that are easier to manage compared to Press. I think Press Evoker positioning is still as important as people make it is. Yeah. That's about Press so far. I think it's good, but it's just not exceptional. Some of you guessed it, Demonology Warlock. Demolock got nerfed. Now, those nerfs to Demolock are gonna put down its performance a little bit. The biggest issue I'm having for them is that even though you stayed the same, like you were here, you stayed the same. All the specs were getting buffed. They went up, you stayed the same. And now this week they decided to just nerf you a little bit. See what I mean? Even though you haven't changed a whole lot for the past couple of 4.5 weeks, the most recent change and also the fact that mostly all specs around you getting buffed bring down the performance of Demolock quite a bit down. Unfortunately for them, they are going to be now the bottom of A tier. Sad, but true. Now, I don't know exactly where Vengeance DH currently lays out, because matter of fact is, they are doing quite well. They have very good damage profile, they've got nice utility, good mob control. They also fit well in a magical / hybrid comps, which obviously is a massive benefit, but they're not in a overpowered, sector in a sense, right? So you're anywhere between A and A+, I would say. More inclined to place you A+ than A tier, but I'm gonna place you in unsure yet for now, determining later into the week exactly where you stand. If I could improve something about Vengeance, it might be just durability. Give them a bit more defensive options to be there, and that's about it. Now, I've got a lot of things to say about Augmentation Evoker. First of all, without debunking anything, you are definitely doing worse than last season. That is no, it ain't no lie to anybody, no secret about it. Aug Evoker does less damage than last season. Matter of fact is, I've checked a whole ton of logs for the past couple of days on Augmentation Evoker, and for the most part, at least judging based on like every single auto spec performance, like pure raw output, their raw output right now is more like A tier, okay? Which means slightly above average, but not good enough to be considered in a meta contender. There are better specs right now than Augmentation Evokers that provide Lust. For example, Arcane Mage, Enhancement Shaman, Hunters. They do better performance than Aug Evoker, in my opinion, so they will be picked up above you. But you're not bad in a sense of like you are absolutely unplayable. So if I were to rank Aug Evoker right now, I'm gonna say A tier, But for the better part, I would say much more time is needed to determine their rankings for now. I'm going to leave it unsure yet, but if I was to be ranking them right now, it's probably going to be around A tier, roughly. Come back next week, and I'll try to rank us as appropriate as I can. Survivor Hunter went down a couple of tiers or a couple of rankings from last week to this week, and it's mostly due to the most recent nerfs done to them. Well, the nerfs, not really nerfs, it's just like hot fixes that made the talents work correctly, and therefore them getting nerfed because of it. The performance went down a bit, hence why the drop of rankings. I think Survivor Hunter is still doing quite well. I think the sustained damage of Survivor is great. Majority of your damage comes from wildfire bombs. I think Survivor is quite fun to play as well, which obviously is a massive advantage to anybody looking to have a fun auto to play. How could I make Survivor better? Just give them more damage. It's the only correct answer in the statement. I was expecting a compensation damage buffs based on the hotfixes nerf, but they didn't come. Let's see what they're gonna do this week with Survival. So far, I think you are doing above average. And also, the Hunter's Mark change, where now you can only use it on one target, was quite unfortunate for every single Hunter spec in this game. It is what it is. You asked for a fix, they gave you a fix. Not optimal enough though. And we're talking about Outlaw Rogue. Both of those specs got a buffs this week. Speaking about Outlaw Rogue, now they're gonna do better damage. Not by a lot, but slightly better. They opted in to buff you Apex Talons in a hope that you are going to be playing the all 4 points towards your Apex Talons. For the most part, that is left unsuccessful so far. Let's see how they're going to tune down in the future. But I think Outlaw Rogue is doing quite well. I think for the most part, quite well. Outlaw Rogue, very underrated pick. I would say Outlaw Rogue becomes to shine as soon as you get them in a physical oriented composition, in a sense of like getting Mystic Touch, getting Warrior buff. Those two are gonna skyrocket your performance. I would even go on to extend and say that if you are playing Outlaw Rogue in any group, it should still do quite decent, but the moment you play this spec in a group where you get this Mystic Touch, you get the Battle Shout, you get the Wind Fury, then I think the performance of this spec can go even up to A+ tier. I'm not even kidding, by the way. I'm not even kidding. It can even get to A+ tier. It all depends on the composition you are playing. One of the specs that can fully benefit from it, because not many specs are based on a pure physical damage. Like Iron's Warrior is one of them, for example, pure physical damage. BM Hunter is being one of them, pure physical damage. Feral Druid also has pure physical damage. Hunter, mostly physical, but there is some magical as well. I think Arcane Shot and Sentinel Lunar Storm, that is magical. I don't think that's physical. Warrior can benefit Fury and Arms as well, right? So you're one of the few specs that can get a massive bump in performance because of it, I would say. Okay. Restoration Druid. On to the 8th tier. Honestly, you haven't got anything changed for the past couple of days, but it's just that other healers were getting nerfs here and there, and that unironically slightly increased your viability to the point where you are considered right now above average, but still nowhere near, in my opinion, enough to get to the A+ or even S tier. I think you are so far away from monks, from paladins, from restoration shamans. So yeah, I'd say above average right now, mostly because of other healers just getting the hammer, right? That's about it. I think HPS profile of a Restoration Druid should get buffed, and DPS as well. Yeah, that's pretty much so far for a Restoration Druids. Affliction Warlock has several issues, and I'm gonna speak about that so far. The AoE department is definitely not one of them. It is not one of them. They do have a great AoE damage. The only issue I'm having with Affliction Warlock is that, first of all, ST is bad. Bad single target, less mobility, because now every single Nightfall proc cannot proc from Seed of Corruption. Previously, every time you get Nightfall proc, you can press Seed of Corruption. Now that is no longer an option, which means you can actively drain so in mass AoE, which for the most part, most people don't like that shit. Okay, they don't like that shit. Sure, you can play Shadow Bolt if you don't want to play Drain Life. That's fine. Matter of fact is, them losing Seed of Corruption with Nightfall is a most definitely not a good shit. Second, I could say lack of a raid buff, lack of a strong raid buff. Sure, curses and hailstones are always going to be good, but that cannot justify the fact that other specs have much better things to offer compared to what you have to offer. And in the only way for people to ignore that part is if you do a lot of damage to the point where you are considered one of the highest DPS outputs so far. So that's not a L. I don't think there are enough gate skips this season to justify that to be called as a great utility. I could think of only 2 gate skips so far that help with the safety, but they are not mandatory. They are safer options though. So that's another way to say that I was expecting a little bit more coming from Affliction Warlock. Yeah. Let's see how things are gonna do for them so far. Feral Druid, if you guys haven't seen, they received minor buffs, which is gonna help them a bit with their damage output in Mythic Plus. I think for the most part, Feral is doing quite solid so far on the PTR. The only issues with Pharaohs are mostly single target. I would say if they do get better ST profile or output, I would say Pharaoh can go higher. But in a sense of like whole package, I think that they're doing quite well. 59 physical comb, have a very strong raid buff, have a CR, you got poison in the spell, good utility overall, great sustain damage. I like it. I really like Feral Druids. Enhanced next on an 8 tier. I think overall you are one of the most fun specs to play on PTR. Rotation flow is absolutely peak. Very strong utility profile on the Enhanced Shaman. Unfortunately, output so far is just a little bit lower for me to place it in A+ or S tier. That's about it. Now, if they get to fix Enhanced Shaman or like buff Enhanced Shamans, I have no issues placing them on an A+ tier. But for now, I think A is a little bit more justifiable. Okay. Okay. Moving forward to range specs. Let's finish the 8 here with a couple of range specs here and then going to the A+, which I think if you are spec is into the upper levels of A tier or A+ tier, that is the sweet spot. A+ tier plus upper levels of A tier. S tier is bad. If you're in S tier, that's bad. And the reason why I think S tier is bad is because you are gonna be a lot more likely to get nerfed in the next couple of class around changes, which are happening weekly. Destruction Warlock remains quite strong option for Mythic Plus this season. Once again, the biggest argument of Destruction Warlock is mass AoE. I think mass AoE of Destruction Warlock is insane. So if you can pull around that, if you can consistently play big in a dungeons, I think Destro can go even to A+ tier. Once again, it all depends on the route you play and how you play it. Single target, it looks to be at most average on ST. Utility-wise, similar to Affliction and Demonology, not great there. But you can compensate in those huge boosts that you can do. Like I'm talking about like a 2, 3, 4 packs together into Rain of Fire spam, Cataclysm, maintaining Immolate buff to all of them, and just spamming Rain of Fires. There are a couple of dungeons where you can benefit from having mass AoE, and there's like 3 of them that don't really have big pulls. In that sense, you're better off playing something else. Like for example, KR Destruction Warlock is absolutely garbanzo. You got Benzo. You're probably better to play Affliction or Demo there. But in a dungeons like, for example, let's just say Den of Nalorak, you know, Ruby Life Pools, those big AoE dungeons, like this can really pop off. Beastmaster Hunter received a tremendous buff this week around, and mostly targeting the mass AoE, which I believe are, which I believed last week to be the biggest weak point for BM Hunter. So after the buffs here, I think Beastmaster Hunter is on the verge to become A+ tier. Keep in mind that if you do add Warrior buff plus Monk buff, Beastmaster Hunter goes to the A+ tier automatically. I believe they really do well so far. Good SD, very good sustained damage, great AoE, can't go wrong with BM Hunter. Thumbs up, I'm gonna definitely be playing that shit as an ult if it remains unchanged. Both Survival and BM Hunter, in my opinion, are doing quite well. Protection Warrior is also on A tier. I think so far they're doing quite well. They're quite durable. They do decent damage, not great, not bad, decent. And I think for the most part, if they are not above average performer, that's about it. You can play that with a mostly physical comps. I guess hybrids can work well as well. Yeah. Protection Paladin goes from S tier to A+ tier. Unfortunately, all of those nerfs done to them diminished their performance. They're still gonna be solid. They're still gonna have insane utility. They're still gonna do well, but they're no longer considered broken. Now, speaking about broken, there is a new king of the tanks. So far, after the most recent buffs to Blood DK, they are now the tank with the highest damage output across every other tank specs in the game, and only because of this, they did get better durability. Only because of this, Blood DK goes from B+ to A+ tier. Absolutely magnificent performance from Blood DK. However, I gotta be honest with you. Blood DK is good. It does well. During dancing on weapons, you do quite well. You don't die. But it comes to a point where you just die. Okay? That's it. A random one-shots of Blood DK will be present as well. They are doing better than last week though. Once again, I'll repeat it for the third time. They got both buffed in durability or defensive part and also in damage. The damage buff to Blood DK was a substantial. Hence why their placement got swapped from B+ to A+. Purely because they have the highest output across any other tank specs into the game. There are two things that are bad on DK. The first thing is that DK is the only spec in this game, the only tank spec in the game that does not have a unique raid buff. You do not have a unique raid buff. Okay? That's about it. And the second one is the obvious. Unholy and Pharaoh's DK are really good. And what does that mean? If you're really good, it's less likely for DK to become a meta if you already have somebody to do the grips for you. Because people often say, oh, Blood DK has grips. But if you already play Unholy or Frost, they got grips too. So why do you actually need it? Mass grip? Sure. I mean, it's useful, why not? But it's no longer unique. Because if you need somebody to get you a grip on one or two mobs, Unholy or Frost can do it just as well. So, if they nerf Blood Death Knight damage, which I am very certain they are going to tune down the Blood DK damage, you are probably not going to see them into the S tier or even being in a competitive comps. Yeah, that's about it so far. I hope you guys are not mad about it. I'm a bit harsh on Blood DKs, I guess, but I'm just trying to be honest here for the most part. Havoc DH went from being decent / average to now doing quite well. Their current performance after the buffs do better, both in sustain / burst AoE and single target. For the most part, I'm quite happy to where Havoc DH has landed, and I'm very much looking forward to continue to expand the performance on the PTR for them. Especially if you do get to play in a comp with a Warrior, Havoc Warrior comp goes pretty hard. For the most part, thumbs up, keep it up, and please buff Havoc more so I can play Havoc instead of playing Devourer. Thank you. And as that's gonna be Shadow Priest. Shadow Priest, yet again, it remains on the A+ tier. However, they dropped a few spots down because they did not get any buffs this week around. Other specs just got more adjustments, hence why I think they are now going to do better new. But for the most part, Shadow Priest is still going to be fine, both Mythic Plus and rating. Specifically speaking about Mythic Plus, Invoke Nightmare, Misery build, you can play both. Invoke Nightmare can be quite advantageous in those smaller count dungeons, like for example KR. You can even play them in Temple Citralis, for example. And Misery build can be well in like those mass AoE dungeons where, you know, they're another good life pools where AoE matters a lot. I think Shadow Priest for the most part is still going to be fine. So worry not if you're SP. I am talking about right now MM Hunter. I think MM Hunter deserves to be an A+ tier even after the changes done to them, which some of them are negative. They are considered very good in terms of just pure sheer output. The best Hunter spec in my opinion by far, and one of the specs that can fully benefit from having Mystic Touch and Battle Shout with them. If you are playing Hunters and if you are serious about pushing, I would say MM so far looks to be the best, but you never know how the future is going to shape up for you. I think the single target of MM Hunter is absolutely ridiculously crazy. I've seen some of them, I've played with some of the higher, you know, those very good Hunters well known in the community, and their ST was insanely good. Now, is that going to get nerfed? I don't know. But everything that I've seen so far on MM Hunter has been crazy good. And yeah, I think against rot damage, they don't do that well. That's true. Both MM Hunter and Shadow Priest are likely the squishiest specs in the A+ tier so far, which again is a bit of disadvantageous feature to have. And with that, the king is officially dethroned from the S tier. They go from S tier all the way to A+. Unfortunately to all of you guys, they did get nerfed. They did get a nerf, and with that, they are falling down on the rankings. What could I say about Mistweaver Monks? They've been dominant for the past couple of 5 months, 4.5 on Season 1. As you guys have seen times and times again, their healing profile was exceptionally good, which is one of the biggest reasons why they are there. But with the most recent nerfs from them, I think their performance goes down. A Restoration Shaman received no changes so far, but I still think to be... actually, they did receive last week some adjustments on behalf of their tier sets. So they did get some tier set nerfs, but with that, they got a compensation buffs, which right now work for them in a positive manner. I think to be extremely good pickup for any comp that you play. Even in magical comp, you can make it work as a Rest Shaman. And if there was any safe spec that I can bet on next year on any class, it's probably gonna be Rest Shaman. Because the worst case, even if you're playing average at worst case, because I don't think it can be bad, at worst case, you can still pick up to play with your regular physical composition and you're gonna do fantastic. Okay. So yeah, if I could name one definitive spec that I could trust to be great next season, I'm gonna go with the Rest Shaman. So far, absolutely. I think Holy Paladin grew up to be the best healer so far on PTR, or yeah, PTR, mostly due to the nerfs of Mistweaver Monk. Before this, Monk was better. After the changes, now Paladin is better. I still think in like sustaining AoE healing, Paladin can have issues. On a spot healing / ST healing, Paladin is great. You still play no Holy Shock build. Utility-wise on Paladin, I already guys told you. It's absolutely fantastic. I also love to play with Paladins for the most part. Holy Paladin received 5% healing buff this week, which helped him a lot, becoming a better pickup. They buffed the mana usage of the 4-piece, I think, but that doesn't really matter. The 5% healing can help a lot. So if I have to adjust the healing profile a bit, I'm gonna say Holy Paladin now goes to S, Monk goes to A+, and because Restoration Shaman is considered the second best healer on any comp because of you can play with the physical comps, I'm gonna go with the setup. Rest Shaman, Holy Paladin, Monk. If I'm playing with a caster comp, I'm still gonna go Monk over Shaman though. In any other case, hybrids or physicals, I'm gonna go with Shaman instead of Monks. That's what I would consider. I don't think there's a clear winner for tanks so far, but for the healers, I'm gonna go with Paladin. Also, I love to play with Paladins. Freedom, Sack, Poison Dispel, Binding Light, Disease Dispel, Aura Mastery, Devotion Aura, Bop, you know. Unholy got absolutely juiced up and becomes, once again, an S tier contender. Fuck me. Fuck me, dude. I was looking forward to a season where we don't have a Death Knight in a meta comp. Unfortunately for every single one of you that loves to play Death Knight, Unholy is absolutely back. The substantial buffs done to Unholy DK help them secure their S tier space once again. Should I say anything else? Their sustained damage right now is likely one of the best, if not the best in the game. Previously, if you guys remember, Unholy DK was really strong during burst, and during sustain they weren't that good. Now, your sustained damage is crazy. Crazy sustained damage. Only with pet, only with 45 seconds cooldown in Massive Wii, you can cook every other spec, or at least most of the specs. On top of this, strong burst damage, the best durability in the game, grips are present, quite tanky as well. The only thing that I would love Unholy to get better at is single target. Sun Lin's single target needs some love. I would love them to get buffed. And here is the weird twist. Think about that. They balance the specs based on raid performance. The current Unholy DK performance in Mythic Plus is insane. The ST though is average. Based on this, I won't be surprised if they buff Unholy single target, at least Sandlin's single target a bit, which might catapult Unholy to even better than before. It might make it from S tier to, like, I don't know, is there a tier after S tier? Yeah, that's about it. Moving forward, right next to Hunter, I'm going to be placing Frost Decay. The counterpart of Unholy, Frost Decay, did not get any changes, but I still think them to be a great contender next season. Both great sustain and great burst damage coming from them. They can be played in mostly hybrid or magical comps. I think Frost is doing way better than last season, and I think for the most part might be more fun than Unholy. However, no real reason to play Frost if we already know Unholy is that much better. Maybe Frost does better single target, which makes me believe that in some of the dungeons you might want to go there. But Unholy has better execute, which again, I think execute damage matters a shit ton in Mythic Plus, and is often quite underrated. Retribution Paladin received a AoE buff this week around. Divine Storm got buffed by 10%, and their performance goes higher. I think Retribution Paladin looks to be probably top 5 specs so far next year. An extremely good candidate whether you play any comps, magical, physical, hybrids, they can fit in and play. Great utility, very easy to play, good damage. In my opinion, there's never been a better time to main or ult Retribution Paladin in Midnight than right now. So if you are considering whether you want to keep up playing with your Red Paladin or make up Red Paladin an ult spec, I'm gonna say this with both hands. On my heart, there has never been a better time to be a red paladin or to make a red paladin oath than right now. In midnight. Only in midnight. So they get an absolutely thumbs up from me so far. The most broken DPS in Mythic Plus so far. One of the highest, if not the highest single target. Very tanky passively. Passively tanky. Obviously not as tanky as DK, but passively tanky. Great sustain damage. Great burst damage. Great execute. Good to targets. Great low target cleave. Arms Warrior is doing an absolutely exceptional. And if I gotta be honest with you, I believe that if Arms Warrior does not catch an AoE buff, AoE nerf, we might see a season where Arms is played everywhere, including hybrid comps, including physicals. So far, they are an exceptional DPS. Devourer this week got a 12% buff on the Collapsing Star, 6% nerf on Eradicate, and a slight nerf on Annihilator Hero Talent Tree. For the most part, people have been switching back to playing Collapsing Star. The AoE part of Devourer is good. I think the single target part is doing okay, nothing exceptional. I think the melee build does better for pure ST, which might be played in a raid scenarios. For Mythic Plus, you are going to be likely sticking to Collapsing Star at least. Like, I still think Devourer to be good. I don't think it's exceptional though. They are better specs than you are. That's it. So far, that's all about Devourer. We're gonna have Balance Druid. I think Balance Druid, even though got minor changes, they still remain S tier contender. A very strong pickup for most part. Exceptional AoE damage, great profile, great utility profile. Yeah, that's so far. Good ST, good AoE, good sustain, good burst. Balance looking to be absolutely incredible in Season 2 so far. And Shaman is doing incredible. Incredible. From great sustain damage, great burst damage, great utility, has a bloodlust. I think Ellie is doing fantastic, hence why I believe them to be part of A+ tier. And for Arcane Mage hasn't seen much, but I think they are considered one of the best range specs right now. ST is insane, AoE is even better, and for the most part, infinitely better durability compared to Season 1. Chat, I think Mage is the clear winner when it comes down to better compared to El Shaman. El Shaman might do better in some cases though. As always, I already guys told you, I think the utility of Shaman is the best in the game. Definitely better than Mage. If you are playing with Arms Warrior and Unholy DK, you're gonna play with Ellie Shaman, not Mage. Magical comp, you might play with Balance Arcane Ellie, who knows. But when it comes down to Shaman, you guys already know, whatever I say, you're gonna type Sandbag or you're gonna type Delusional. Many seasons in a row, I place Ellie on A+ or S tier. You guys type Delusional, end up being very good. This time around, I think the opposite. I think this time around, Ellie is like higher A+ tier, not S tier. And you guys type Sandbag. I can never win. I can never win on Ellie Shaman. It's either I'm sandbagging or I'm delusional. So I can't do anything. Like, Ellie is placed right now in a top 5 specs in a game, both combined the range and melee, and you guys type sandbagging, you know? That's all I'm gonna say. It's considered the 3rd best range, but I'm still sandbagging. It's hard. It's honestly quite hard. Because once again, no matter what I say, you guys are gonna type either Sandbag or Delusional.